Yo, Smelly Randy here, coming to you with the first video ever from my new basement studio. What do you think? I got the fresh wood panels behind me. Not bad, huh? Just kidding. That's totally not real. I'm way too cheap for that. So I put this studio together in my basement just specifically so I could provide more content more often to you guys. I know my adventure videos can get pretty long because I'm just vlogging the entire time. So I want to be able to have somewhere to film shorter videos much more often just so I can keep the content coming. So for this video, I wanted to talk about some of the trips that I've already taken this year and videos I'm working on, but more specifically talk about my itinerary for the Washington trip I'm taking just next week. So consider this the June 2019 episode of Trail Talk. Let's go! Alright, so I've already taken quite a few trips this year, and I've been actively working on videos for them. In January, I took a trip to Yosemite for my birthday, went cross-country skiing up to Glacier Point, and backpacked out there and got caught in a blizzard. That video is done. That video is posted. I'll try and put a link right here or right there. I'm still not sure how to do that exactly, but I'm going to figure it out for this video. And then in February, we took a trip to Ohio and explored Hocking Hills State Park, which was beautiful. That video is also up, and I will try and put a link to that video up here or up here as well. And then in March, I took a road trip up to Grand Teton National Park and did some skiing at Jackson Hole and some backpacking on skis and snowshoes. And that video is also done, also posted already. And again, the link will be in one of these two corners if I can figure it out. And then in April, my girlfriend and I took a road trip starting down in Page, Arizona, did Horseshoe Bend, Lower Antelope Canyon, and then camped in Monument Valley, and then worked our way north up to Arches National Park. That is a video I will start working on very soon, probably right after I finish this video. So keep an eye out for that one. And then in May, I had a buddy come out, and it was still snowing a ton up here. So I booked a cabin up in the Rocky Mountains, up on Vail Pass, and we snowshoed. He snowshoed, I skied up to this cabin, and it snowed for much of the night. And that video I'll be working on right after I'm done with the Utah video. Plenty of backlog I got to work on. So look out for all of those videos. But I am here specifically for this video to discuss our itinerary for our trip to Washington next week. The itinerary is complete. Everything is booked. Here is a taste of what my itineraries look like. I map out everything on my itineraries. Basically what time sunrise is, what time sunset is, and then everything in between, including drive times, hike times, where we have breakfast. Anything that I can plan in advance will help us move and explore efficiently. So that is a small taste of the itinerary. I'll actually put a link to the full itinerary. That link will be down in the description. It'll be a PDF right to the full itinerary, so check that out if you want to. Alright, so I fly out Wednesday morning. I should arrive in Seattle at about 8 a.m. My buddy Tom will already be there, have the rental car ready to go. We'll hop in the car and head up to the Mount Baker Wilderness area, which is up by North Cascades National Park, northeast of Seattle. It's 2.5 hours to the trailhead, and we'll have to make a stop at a Walmart to pick up some fuel, some camping fuel, because you cannot fly with those little stove fuel canisters. So we'll get some of those and whatever snacks and lunch meat that we need, and then we'll continue on to the trailhead. So after we get to the trailhead, we will be backpacking up to Park Butte. It is a 7.2 mile round trip hike. So that first day that we're backpacking will only be 3.6 miles with just over 2,000 feet of vertical gain. Now, at the top of Park Butte, there is a fire lookout tower that you can camp in, and it's just first come, first serve. And in doing research for this trip, I realized that there are like hundreds of these fire lookout towers in the state of Washington, as well as Oregon. They're just all over the place, and you can stay in most of them overnight if you want. It's just first come, first serve. So I've got my fingers crossed that since we're hiking up there on Wednesday, that we'll get up there early enough and we'll be able to stay in that lookout tower, which would be amazing. But if we don't, then we'll be camping just below the lookout tower, where there's also a bunch of alpine lakes, and the landscape up there is just amazing. It looks incredible. It's basically at the base of Mount Baker. So we'll have, hopefully, if it's clear, we'll have plenty of amazing views of Mount Baker and the surrounding Mount Baker Wilderness and North Cascade Mountains. So this is one of the hikes that I was most excited about, and it wasn't on the original itinerary, but I moved some things around just so we could backpack up to that tower on Wednesday and have our best chance at sleeping in a lookout tower during this trip. So that is Wednesday. When we wake up Thursday morning, we'll probably stick around for sunrise, take whatever camera shots that we want to take, and then make the hike out 3.6 miles back to the trailhead. So we'll hike out, back to the car, drive 2.5 hours up and around to the northern part of Mount Baker Wilderness, where we will then backpack up to Yellow Aster Butte. That is a 6.8 mile round trip, so 3.4 miles we'll be hiking up Thursday after we get there. And that's just another amazing area with amazing views, which will give us a chance to see a lot of the Mount Baker Wilderness area, which I love. It'll be a lot of hiking and a lot of driving, but it'll be worth it. That's kind of how all my trips are. And that hike is only 3.4 miles up, but it's about 500 feet more vertical gain. So that one's 2,500 feet of vertical gain over a shorter period of time. So that's going to be a much steeper hike. So yeah, we'll be toast after that one. So I can't wait to get up there. That's Thursday. Friday morning we'll wake up, do the same thing, probably stick around for sunrise, get whatever pictures we want. Then we'll hike out 3.4 miles back to the car, and then hopefully we'll have time to drive an hour up to Artist Point where the road dead ends, and that is the highest point of the road with just amazing views, again, of the North Cascades and Mount Baker. So I'm really hoping to get up there. There's a lake up there that I want to take pictures of. I think it's called a Reflection Lake, I believe, or maybe the trail is like Reflection Pond or something like that. So I'm hoping we have time to go up there, because straight from there we will be driving all the way out to San Juan Island, and that involves catching a ferry. So the drive from Artist Point to the ferry will be 2.5 hours, and we have a 4:45 p.m. ferry out to the island. So I have here in my itinerary that we must leave Artist Point by 1:45 p.m. So Friday we basically need to take whatever sunrise pictures that we want, which will be at like 5 a.m., then hike out 3.5 miles, then drive an hour up to Artist Point, do whatever we can as quickly as possible, and leave there by 1:45. We should get to the Ana Cortez Ferry in time for our ferry ride at 4:45 p.m., which will take us out to San Juan Island, where we will be camping for the night. So we camp for the night there. The plan is probably to go set up camp at the campground and then drive to Lime Kiln State Park and try and do some whale watching from land. So basically we'll be looking for orca pods of killer whales. That western side of San Juan Island where Lime Kiln State Park is, that is by far the most popular area for orcas to hang out at. And it's also by far the best time of the year for orca sightings in that area as well. So hopefully this is just the perfect storm for orca whale watching, because the next morning we'll be getting up and doing a kayaking tour of that coast right there along Limekiln State Park, and hopefully be kayaking with orcas, which would just be amazing. One of our buddies told us that he kayaked with orcas a couple years ago, and I was immediately enamored with the idea of doing that. So we've been talking about doing this trip for, I think, 2 years now, or maybe just the past year since he told us. Very excited for this trip. Very excited about even just the prospect of kayaking with orcas. I'm super psyched about that. So after the kayaking tour, which will end around noon, we'll be taking the ferry back from the island to the mainland, and we'll be driving to Leavenworth, which, if you didn't know, is where the Enchantments wilderness area is. Now, the Enchantments, if you're not familiar, another amazing part of Washington, lakes everywhere, just a gorgeous area, and it happens to be one of the hardest areas to get a backcountry permit for in Washington, if not the country. I applied for the lottery for backpacking permits this year. I had my dad apply too. Neither of us won permits. So we are driving there and camping for the night, just probably in a campground. And then the next morning, we'll be getting up and starting hiking very early because we're going to basically day hike the entire Enchantments area. Since we can't camp back there, we're just going to day hike the entire area so we can see it. Now that hike, the route that I have mapped out is 22.31 miles round trip as an out and back that has a little loop in the middle, a little outdoor detour loop in the middle, if you will. So yeah, that's going to be the big hike of the trip. We're going to be totally gassed after that, I'm sure. And one of the reasons I love making trips this time of the year is because the days are just so long. So sunrise is basically at 5 a.m. every morning, and sunset is basically at 9 p.m. 5:05 to 8:55 p.m. It's just insane how long the days are this time of year. So we have plenty of time to complete the entire hike and get back to the trailhead long before sunset. So after Enchantments, the last thing that's still kind of up in the air is potentially driving down toward Mount Rainier, right after we finish our hike of Enchantments, and then shooting sunrise down at Tipso Lake or somewhere around Mount Rainier Monday morning, because Tom flies out Monday at 11:55 a.m. So we're thinking shoot sunrise at Mount Rainier. We should be done around, I don't know, 6:37, and then drive Tom straight to the airport. My flight isn't till later on in the evening. My flight out is Monday at 6:55 p.m. So I'm going to drop Tom off at the airport, and then I've got some more time to kill. I might try and do one last hike somewhere, something shorter, or I might just hang around Seattle. I haven't decided yet. I'm just going to have to figure out how much time realistically I have after I take Tom to the airport, because it's going to take time to drive to another trailhead and then to hike it. So what might realistically end up happening is I drop Tom off at the airport and then I just start hitting photo spots around downtown Seattle that I have on my list. So today is Thursday and we are leaving next Wednesday, so less than a week. I'm basically going to start packing and gathering things tonight, and then I'll have all weekend to finalize all the crap that I'm going to bring. So yeah, that's what's coming up. I'm thinking I want to do a video like this every month, just letting you know what's coming down the pipeline as far as videos, and then what trips I have coming up that month. And then I'm also toying with the idea of making a monthly video where I just highlight, a favorite piece of gear of mine, something like that. I don't know. Tell me what you think I should do down in the comments down there. But yeah, that's about it. Hopefully I can keep making some shorter videos and keep bringing you some content that will be of, some value. Again, I'll put links down in the description to our full itinerary as well as links to the hikes that we have planned. And then at the end of the video, there will be links on the sides to some of the other trip videos that I've posted recently. So check those out. Until next time, happy trails, y'all.